Hello lads, last season those of unspecified gender, it's the Irishman here, and today I'm going to talk about what would have happened if Goku married everybody. This is the 6th part to this What If, and if you have not already seen the other 5 parts, I would greatly recommend you go check those videos out before coming back to this one. Kakarot would have Vados replace Gohan as the general of his army. He would realize that Gohan was the one commanding the army under Android 21, and he was the person that was actually allowing the coup d'etat to occur. He has some sort of allegiance to his mother. How cute. But still, that's not okay, and therefore he needs to be replaced. Yeah, sure, he doesn't remember Android 21 anymore, but still, he did show disloyalty towards Kakarot, and that needs to be punished. So he would be replaced with Vados. Vados, who was going to be ahead of the army anyway, as she would be the person training them and teaching them how to utilize God Ki, as well as Ultra Instinct. And even though this is all well and good, Kakarot has some other things he needs to attend to. He would head over to Bulma and ask her to create something for him, a device which would allow him to absorb other people's energy. That way he's not only getting stronger in battle through, well, fighting and getting stronger through battle, but also absorbing the other person's energy. Imagine how strong he'd be if at the end of a fight he could just absorb that person's power. Needless to say, this is a very useful tool, and however long it takes Bulma to actually create this, it would be worth the wait. And now, with this as a part of his being, he would head off-planet. In fact, he would even head to the outskirts of the universe, wherein he would find the Universe 7 Destroyer, someone that Vados would have told him about. His name was Beerus. She would have warned that he was the strongest destroyer god and may give him some trouble, although considering he's able to go toe-to-toe with angels, well, Beerus might not really be that much of a challenge. Once arriving on the Universe 7 Destroyer God's planet, he would be greeted by Whis, who would ask what his business here is. Goku would simply say that he's a friend of Vados, and this would get Whis intrigued, wondering if he's a Saiyan from Universe 6, although he would say that he isn't and he didn't know there were Saiyans in Universe 6. That's an interesting thing to keep in mind for later. Although he's not exactly here for Whis. Instead, he's here for Beerus. Then, understanding that if this guy is a friend of his sister, then he is probably a somewhat important person, and therefore, well, he deserves Beerus' attention at the moment, even if it means waking him up. So, Whis would set off Beerus' alarm, and the cat god would be woken up, although a bit abruptly. He'd be upset and rather cranky, but seeing as Whis was the one to do it, he has to have some sort of a good reason. And Whis would then introduce Beerus to Kakarot, who has a devilish grin on his face. Kakarot would tell Beerus that he is now the god of destruction of Universe 6, the person who replaced Champa. Well, replace is a rather soft word. He erased him from existence. Still groggy and rather sleepy, Beerus would just say in response,
"It was bound to happen eventually. If that's all, I'm going back to sleep. Have a nice day, new destroyer."
Did you hear me? I murdered your brother. In cold blood. It was pretty brutal.
Yeah, he probably deserved it. He was kind of a prick. Whis, fetch my softest pillow.
Yeah, okay, I'm not dealing with you anymore. You're no fun.
Okay.
And as Beerus is being erased, every last drop of his energy would be being taken in by Goku. Every last bit of energy Beerus has ever collected would be being taken into Kakarot's very being, while his life force is being erased entirely. Whis is quite shocked. Although he did still have more connection to Beerus than any angel really had to their destroyer, Whis isn't entirely emotional at this. It was bound to happen eventually. Just like how Beerus felt about Champa, Whis felt about Beerus. He was arrogant, rash, and made a lot of enemies without caring what the consequences of his actions might be. So, really, Beerus' death was more so a means to an end rather than anything that was shocking or unexpected. Although, even he has to admit, it did catch him off guard for a moment there. Kakarot would then become the God of Destruction for Universe 7, just like he did for Universe 6. Not only having the Destroyer powers for one universe, but now two. Although a problem does stem from the fact that, even though Kakarot is incredibly powerful, the Supreme Kai that his life are linked to, well, they are not. So, Kakarot would return to Earth, using the Dragon Balls that have been modified thanks to having a stronger Guardian, as well as a machine that would enhance the Dragon Ball's overall power, to then give immortality to both of the Supreme Kai that his lives are linked to. And by immortality, I do mean immortality, not eternal youth or an insane healing factor, just straight up becoming immortal. That way nobody can go after the Supreme Kai to kill Kakarot. What's there for our favorite Saiyan King to do now? Well, kill the other gods of destruction and take their power as well. And he'd be able to do it with relative ease, being post-angel level as well as having just absorbed the strongest of the destroyers. He'd be able to take out any of the other gods and possibly angels that he would choose to. Although he would still continue to keep the angels on his side and bolster his own forces with them, the other gods are rather unnecessary and can instead be absorbed into his very being. The only person who I really see giving him even a little trouble would be Universe 11, seeing as Toppo is training under Belmod, who was at least somewhat comparable to Beerus. And if Toppo and Belmod were to team up, and maybe even Jiren if he's there, that might be a little bit of an annoyance. But still, Kakarot would persevere, and honestly, those two would just be a nice extra little snack. Now, with being the God of Destruction for every universe, all of his Supreme Kais being immortal, and him basically being unstoppable, what's there left for him to do now? Other than get stronger and prepare for the day to come where he challenges the Grand Priest. Well, he would see there are different timelines, different realities where different events take place, although it seems as if certain plot points happen in each and every one of these timelines, certain sagas, certain events. These different realities are similar to his own but different in so many ways. And as Kakarot picks up the time ring and looks into the reality that he would be entering, he sees one in which he only married one person, one in which he was living a happy life with only a few kids, not the army he has now, not the planet of literal billions of his own descendants, just Gohan and Goten. This is, well, it's strange. Kakarot debates if this version of himself is actually living a better life. Yeah, sure, he doesn't have an empire or this huge big control over the universe. He isn't even a god of destruction, let alone 12. But his life seems more fulfilling. This version of himself. He seems happier. Nah, it doesn't matter. He'll just go there, conquer the entire multiverse, take over every life form there, absorb their energy, and be powerful enough to defeat the Grand Priest. It doesn't matter if there are people who are living genuinely happy lives. He doesn't care. Remember, Kakarot, not a good person.
I wonder, what if I entered this world? This is going to be marvelous.